Hey, what's up guys? Tom from Positive Lead Diagnostics. Today we are working on a 2007 Audi A6 with a 4.2 liter engine. The concern we are addressing today is a fault stored in the gateway, which is combination comfort bus single wire mode. So a little bit of vehicle history. This car came into my friend's shop. It had an ECM no-com and it didn't run. Originally, what killed this ECM is water intrusion through the cowl panel, and it submerged the ECM underwater. So the ECM lives right here in this box, and it was filled with water. So they replaced the ECM, had it towed, they programmed the ECM, the car runs now, and we are looking at some faults in the gateway. Comfort data bus single wire mode. And then there's another one for LIN bus, or local data bus, in the comfort module. So looking at this one in a little bit of hindsight, because I had to tear some things apart so that we could actually do some checks, my waveforms are differing a little bit from what they were before. I have some of the old waveforms saved compared to what the waveform looks like now. They are a little bit different. So just keep that in mind. First things first, let me get you a shot of the fault codes so you can see what we're doing, see what we're dealing with, and I'll try to take you step by step my process with this vehicle. All right, so we just did a code scan, and this is in the gateway, combination comfort data bus in single wire, short to ground. And then the other fault that I want to address is in the comfort system. Local data bus electrical problem in the circuit. That's a LIN bus. That's going to be separate from the CAN wiring. And then the other fault stored is the alarm horn, no signal, no communication. So first things first, we will do combination comfort data bus, single wire, short with ground. All right guys, so the comfort module lives in the trunk on this vehicle. Before grabbing a wiring diagram, our fault is for the comfort data bus, so I figured why not check it at the comfort module, see what we have. So I have the Pico hooked up. I'll get you a shot of where the connector is and where I'm at. Before getting a wiring diagram, I just looked for the orange and green, orange and brown wires. Those are the comfort wires on this car. On the connector, there was a little piece I had to pull off so that I could access the pins. So I got the Pico hooked up. I will show you what we're dealing with. All right, so this is inside the trunk. This is where my Pico is hooked up, right on the CAN wires. It's a little bright. So those two wires on the end, comfort module wiring, CAN communication wiring. So that's where we're at. Let me show you the scope. Alright guys, so this is the CAN high and CAN low on this comfort bus. My red trace is going to be my CAN high, and my blue trace is my CAN low. Notice there are no messages on this blue trace. That is the problem right now. We are only talking on one side of the network. So let me throw some cursors in here. CAN high, this red trace, we have a peak about 4 volts. And drop it down to around 0 volts. It says 51 millivolts, so pretty close to 0. So this CAN high is a 0 to 4 volt square wave. The blue trace, my CAN low, you can see no activity is happening, and my voltage is fixed at about 600 millivolts. And you can see a little bit of spikes in there. That may just be some interference. Not entirely sure. So before, what I was talking about with my different waveforms is that before I didn't have this CAN low where it was fixed at this 600 millivolts. It wasn't like that before. So I have a waveform saved. I'm going to pause this. We're going to open this other waveform. get that out of the way. I'm going to zoom us in right here. Totally different. So in this one, my can low is 5 volts and it gets pulled down to about 1 volt, where my can high is 0 volts and it gets pulled up to about 4 volts. Totally different here. Notice we have messages on this can low wire in this one. Notice we have other messages too. So my issue when I first was looking at this is I have a missing message right here from a control module that is on this comfort bus. So there is our problem. We are only talking on the can high wire. So before, you saw my waveform before, it was a little bit different. It wasn't like that. So I had one module that was not talking correctly. All the other ones were fine. So it's a little bit different now, but so now I was okay. This is the problem. We have a module that's not talking. Now we have a can low wire that's totally dead. Nothing is talking on that really. And pretty much now we need a wiring diagram to see what's all on this bus. All right, so I know you guys really can't see anything on this diagram, so I'm going to try to do this as best as possible. Just bear with me here. So we'll start with where we're doing our checks. Now, I told you I was already doing this in hindsight, so I have some things marked on here. So we are doing our checks right here at the comfort module. This is in the trunk. And all these modules I have circled are on this bus. So these ones here, these ones here, and then pretty much everything that's highlighted is the can high wire, and obviously the other wires that aren't highlighted are can low, which is the wire that we have the issue. So we have no communication on that can low wire. So notice there's a lot of modules on this bus. This is just the comfort bus, and they have these big splice pack connectors. This is the left can bus disconnection plug, and all it is just a plug that connects all these can lines together. And ultimately on this last one, it's 2 wires from each one that go up to this gateway. So this is pin 10, this is our can low, goes up to the gateway, and this is our pin 10 high, goes up to the gateway. So that's pretty much what I did next. I got this wiring diagram, I marked out all my different modules. So just so we don't have to keep skipping from diagram to diagram, I marked down every single module that this orange and green wire goes to. This is pin 10 on the can high, and pin 10, or I'm sorry, I think it's pin 14 low, also goes over to all these modules as well. So that would be all the module wiring that I didn't highlight. I know that's a little confusing, so it's okay. I went over the diagram. These are all the modules that are on this comfort bus. So we have the steering column electronics module, driver's door module, driver's rear door module, climate control module, vehicle electrical system control module, that's a BCM, memory seat and steering column control module, and then we have passenger door module, passenger rear door module, vehicle electrical system control module 2, that's a second BCM. Then we have the comfort control module, then we have the access start control module, then we have the TPMS control module. So a lot of different modules on this bus. And what I was trying to do was do some checks at this connector, but when you unplug these splice connectors, everything pretty much goes dead, nothing really talks. So that didn't work out. So then what I did is I pulled the glove box out, because that's where the gateway lives, and back probed those 2 wires at the gateway just to see, you know, my messages up there. So we can do that now, and of course our signal is going to be a little bit different because we're not talking now. But I want to tell you that the previous waveform that I showed you, where we were talking and then we had one control module that wasn't talking, I had that same pattern up here at the gateway. So let's go to the gateway right now, see what we have. So I already have the glove box out, and the gateway also has one of those little connectors you have to remove to access the pins. This is it right here. It's kind of hard to see. I'll try to get you guys a better shot. But so I'm back probed on my can high, can low wires for the comfort bus at the gateway. These are just little pins that come in the Pico kit, so it's pretty nice. There's a ton of different pins, so you're not really spreading anything. You can find the right one that fits. So let me get the scope hooked up. At least you know where I'm hooked up at. This is the gateway behind the glove box, and we'll see what we have. So I would imagine it's going to be the same as the comfort module, where can low isn't talking and can high is, but before it was all those messages and then a missing message just from one control module, instead of a fixed low voltage on this can low. So let me focus you on the scope and we'll see what we have. All right guys, so this is our comfort CAN bus at the gateway. This is what the gateway is seeing, and this is the same thing we're getting at the comfort module, which I promise you it was not like this before. So I'll try to get an image, and every time I talk about the old waveform, I'll put it up in here so that you can compare, because this is totally different from what I was seeing before. This is a comfort module, or I'm sorry, this is a can low issue, totally just shorted, no activity, and that is not the case. That is not what I had before. So not what I had before. And I think the next thing I did was I disconnected the right splice connector that would pretty much just eliminate the gateway out of the equation. So shut this key off, and I'm going to pull this. This is the right CAN connector. I'll show you this. And literally it just has a bunch of little pins in there. It connects all these CAN wires together. Alright guys, so I have this, I forget, CAN disconnect plug on the right side. Disconnected from the car, obviously. And these are the waveforms just from the gateway alone, putting a message out there, trying to talk, and it's totally different. So right now I don't even have the key on, and I have this disconnected. This is strictly from the gateway. Let's freeze it, and we'll bring some cursors in here. This is what it's supposed to look like. So we have about 4.9 volts, so 5 volts there. Let's bring another cursor down, and that is about 0.8 millivolts, so 800 millivolts, so close to a volt. So this is a 5 volt to 1 volt CAN low, and then you can see the CAN high, that's about 4 volts there, and about 0 volts there. So this is just a general view of what it should look like. There should be messages on both sides mirroring each other. So take that off. I don't even have the key on yet. So So I'm just going to plug this back in right now. That's plugged in. Gateway starts trying to talk again, and all the other modules are trying to talk, and you can see we have that fixed voltages back. So there is something on this bus that is pulling this can high and shorting it to, let's see what this voltage is again, I don't remember. About 600 millivolts, 700 millivolts. All right, guys, so at this point, I went back to the diagram and just trying to figure out what I can do. I need to start disconnecting modules off of this bus. So I'm thinking about the history with this vehicle, the water intrusion coming into the car. There was water intrusion in the box and going into the car, so the carpet was wet too. And so I'm just thinking along the lines, you know, there's some modules behind the glove box, and I have them starred on here. I marked them with stars. One is the tire pressure monitor, and the other one is the vehicle electrical system control module 2, which is the second BCM. So the gateway also lives back there behind the glove box. I think I unplugged some modules in the trunk too. There's parking aid control module, energy management control module, the comfort module itself. No changes with those ones. So just looking at this diagram, all the connections on this bus, right now I want to start unplugging modules. Which one is easiest? There's so many modules on this bus. So I'm just keeping that water intrusion in mind. I'm going straight behind the glove box because there's a couple modules back there, and I'll keep you focused on the can lines. I'll unplug some of those modules. We'll go from there. So nothing is talking right now. I'm going to turn the key on. See, we still have those modules there. So there are a couple modules behind the glove box, and I didn't figure out what they were yet. I just wanted to start unplugging them, whichever was easiest. So right there, like I said, I'm doing this a little bit in hindsight. So I unplugged what I thought was the tire pressure monitor, no change, and then there was a big one right underneath it, which is that BCM number 2, vehicle electrical system control module 2. And when I unplugged that one, that is when I got my network back. So now let's take a look at it. This is with the BCM2 disconnected. Move these cursors up a little bit. So about 5 volts to 1 volt on that can low, exactly what it should be like. I'm gonna plug that module back in. As soon as I plug it in, we lose our network on the can low. So I'm going to unplug it again. I'll pull that module out and show you it. Or I'll give you a so I'll unplug it right now, and then I'll take you into the glove box and show you where it is. So let me unplug it. So you see our network come back. So here's the gateway. That usually sits up top right in there where those two holes are. So right here, I believe one of those is a tire pressure monitor. There's another one there. I'm not sure what that one is. And then you have this big one right in the middle, which is the BCM2. That's the one that I just unplugged. So I'll plug it back in. Take a look at the network again. So that's it right there, and there it is. So what it looks like is this BCM2, this vehicle electrical system control module 2, is pulling this network down. It is shorting out this CAN load network down to about, I think it was 600 millivolts. And it is causing this single wire bus fault. So what it looks like, we have a shorted control module. It's shorting out this CAN low wire, and what we need is a BCM2, as I can call it, the second BCM. So you have the comfort module, then you have the BCM number 1, and then you have a BCM number 2. It controls different things. There's a ton of modules on this car. So a little disappointed in that my waveforms changed, but still this is pretty cool. So pretty easy to pull this BCM out. You can see the network is back. This is our BCM2. This is the module that is at fault, and I really think this just goes back to the history with this vehicle. Water intrusion coming in through the cowl, coming into the car, and it's hitting all these modules right behind the glove box. The gateway's there, tire pressure monitor, this BCM. There's another one in there. I don't even know what it is. I didn't even get that far. I didn't have to. I unplugged the easiest ones that were right there. But vehicle history, again, is key on this car. We're gonna have to get this BCM, and it will need coded. So I think we can communicate with this module. So let's try to talk to it. We'll pull the coding, see if we can get a BCM for it, see if we can code it. Some of these modules, when you get them, you have to do it's component protection, and the only way to do that is with a factory scan tool, which I do not have a factory scan tool that for Audi. So I'm gonna plug this back in. We'll try to talk to it. All right, so this is the 4F module, Central Electronics 2. And I was able to talk to it before. Yeah, we can still talk to it here, so we just do codes just to see. But what I'm really interested in is if we can pull the coding. And this probably just from unplugging it, no big deal. Unplugging that big connector on the side. So ECU coding. ECU review, ECU ID, that's what I really want. And right here it gives us the coding. We have a coding of 0012014. It gives you the part number. And that's what we need for when we're replacing this. So when we get this BCM, we'll have to get the factory scan tool. Luckily, I know some people at Audi. Get the component protection taken off, and then we can do the coating. But I may have to do that off camera, but then I can just show you guys how to do it. So not a big deal. All right, guys, so this is the new BCM. And what I had to do was get the module from Audi. I think it was $370, something like that. So I got the module. I had to take the car up there. I know some guys. And I had to plug the module in. They took off the component protection, and then we had to do the coating. So what I want to do is I'll focus you on the Pico. I'll plug this in. We'll make sure our can lines stay up. And then we will do the coating, which this is already coated, but I'll show you how to do that. So let me get you focused on the Pico. Okay, so the old module's still plugged in. I'm gonna shut the key off. Old module. See, our network is back. Now we'll plug the new one in. So the new one's plugged in right now. I'm just gonna put it back where it lives, back here behind the glove box. Turn the key on. And there's our network. So now we have it. Let's go back on the scan tool. So when you first get this module, when you scan it, it's in a protective mode. It's called component protection, and it's active. So the codes that'll be in there is this component protection. And the only way to turn that off is with factory scan tool. So this one, no codes present because I already have the component protection turned off. And so what you would do to code this is you write that number down that we had, and then you would go to ECU coding. ECU coding, right there. Continue. And our number was 0012014. And what you would do is hit edit, and you would type that number in and hit OK. And it would say the coding was accepted. And now it's coded. So now we can go back, take a look at our faults, or let's clear all our faults first. Function completed. We'll do a code scan. We no longer have any faults in the gateway. So, detected 27 modules. So no faults in the gateway. We have fixed our single wire bus fault on this comfort bus. And that's it. Well, there you have it, guys. A faulty BCM. There's two on this car. Or shorted can low wire on this comfort bus causing a fault in the gateway, single wire mode. So it was only talking on the can high wire. Before, the waveforms were a little different, so I'm a little disappointed because that just made it a little bit more difficult. but I'll keep those waveforms in there because that's what it was when I first started looking at this car. So that's it, guys. We replaced the BCM. We have our network back on the comfort bus. We coded the BCM. Don't forget about the component protection. You have to have an Audi factory scan tool. It uses Otis. I have Otis for Volkswagen. It's not going to work on this car because that's for Volkswagen. You need different certificates and licenses and all things of that nature. So luckily I had some friends at Audi. This car is fixed when it comes to this comfort bus. New BCM fixed this car, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and thanks for watching.